Welcome to Tony at 12. I'm Tony LeBlanc, and today I'm in conversation with Kevin Gentle, member of the Estates of Alderney and chairman of the Planning and Building and Development Committee, effectively the Planning Committee. Good to see you.
And to you, Tony, and thank you for having me on. It's been a while now, I know,
It has indeed. I looked up the records, and it's been a long while, but there you go. You're back in the swing of it. Can we
yeah,
start
good
off
to be
with
here.
planning procedure, because last week you issued a circular reminding people of their obligations to make applications where appropriate. Is it the intention to put that into the Alderney Journal?
Uh, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't control where the media goes.
No.
Um, so, the journal or the local radio stations, or obviously a press release. But the idea was that the procedure for getting planning permission has not changed in any way whatsoever.
No.
But the planning office are proactively highlighting the existing requirements for planning permission across the island. It's been highlighted by a couple of little things that I won't mention, but it's just brought things to the forefront. So the planning officer, the guidance and the planning office are there to provide guidance and assistance to
Yeah.
ensure that any development across the island has the correct permissions, and we've got to try and ensure the highest quality development of the
Yeah.
right type in the right place. So that's the reason for it
Yeah.
going out there.
Can I ask you a couple of questions then on this? First of all, if
Yeah.
somebody's got a front garden and they want to put some more cars on that front garden by converting the whole thing into a driveway, do they need planning permission?
We don't need planning permission to have a driveway in your house, surely.
No, but I'm talking about extending the whole of your front garden into parking.
But to make it, to almost change the use of the property,
Yeah.
yeah, then you do need planning permission to. You can't run a commercial business from a residential property, basically, if that's what
Okay.
you're getting at.
Yeah, well, that's basically you've hit the nail on the head there. Secondly,
So
shipping containers, Kevin.
yeah.
If they're there for a long time, I mean, I appreciate that if you're building a property, you might need a container to store stuff. But if they're there for a long time, do they need planning permission?
As far You've caught me on top with this question, but as far as I'm aware, yes, because uh, something has to stop being temporary and become permanent.
Yes.
And I don't know what that is, but I can certainly get back to you.
No. Okay, that would be interesting. So, next question is, do we have a planning officer?
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, we
Good.
had we got Caroline Strodwick, who was appointed last year. She's been in post since November, and she's like a breath of fresh air.
Good. And does she actually process the things completely? Because there was a time when you were sending applications down to Guernsey for comment. Is she able
No,
to do the whole thing now?
she is a fully qualified planning officer, does everything herself with the assistance of the planning office assistant.
Yeah.
Too much use the word assistant there, but yeah, it's a good setup we've got now.
Good.
Obviously, she will go to Guernsey if she needs a
Mm.
bit of further advice,
Yeah.
but you or me would go elsewhere for advice if we needed it.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. Now, land use review. When's that due? The island plan review. Is that fairly soon?
Don't conflate the two, please, Tony. The island plan, the land use plan, and the two different
Okay.
things.
The
Yeah,
land
so
use the land use plan.
the land use plan review. Well, the land use plan originally was designed to run for 5 years, and it expires March the 13th, or was originally expired March the 13th, 2023. Two
Right.
ordinances later, it's in force until, so the current land use plan is still in force, is in force till March the 13th, 2027. So the review is number one on the plan officer's list. It's the main thing that the office is getting on with. So it's underway. I gave an update to the states in May
Mm-hmm.
as to where we were. I'm giving another one in October to to inform the people where we are actually in the process. So the public are informed every step of the way. Now, it is a land use plan review and an update if needed, but we'll only change things for a reason.
Yeah.
We won't change just because we can, but evidence and stakeholder feedback that actually demands change will give it. And I can think of a couple of things that need to be done as well, because there are parts of the island where the green belt runs halfway through someone's garden, right? Well, that's not on. You either put it all in there or none of it.
Yeah.
There are conservation area lines that need moving. We had an application not long ago, and because the conservation area ran halfway down the length of their house, they need permission for something that wouldn't ordinarily need permission. So we've got to tidy these little things up, if nothing else.
The end of the anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great plan, but after a few years, we've discovered that it's not perfect.
Are you anywhere nearer getting a proper appeals process in force?
Well, I brought this up in the end of year report in the States. I think every year I say, and hopefully I'll give you something next year. We've asked, we've asked the plan officer to look at what we can do a review, but we've just mentioned the land use plan review. That's taking up more of her time and takes priority. But an appeals process is being looked at. Several options are being explored. We will hopefully know more soon. And we're getting help. This is where we are going outside for advice. We're getting help from the States of Guernsey planning team and their appeals tribunal service. So if we could tie into them, me, you and everybody else.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, no, we're no further forward today.
But we are both agreed that the current situation where you go to the Alderney court if you want to appeal isn't the way to go about it, because with all due respect to the jurats, they're not professional planners.
Exactly. The tribunal service in Guernsey is our planning expert. So we've had cases things in the past where something has been turned down by the planning committee and it's gone to the court, and the court here have said, yeah, the planning committee were right, and someone will appeal, and it ends up in Guernsey, and they go, oh, you got that one wrong. We don't want to see any of that.
No, agreed. Now, it seems to me, Kevin, that there's a need for high density areas. It seems, and I'm not knocking anybody by this, but there seems to be a lot of mini mansions being built since the end of the C permits. I hold my hand up. I'm guilty on that one as well. So I've declared my interest, but it is let to an island family. But the thing is that with these places, the first time or even the second time buyers never likely to be able to buy them, are they, once they go back onto the market?
No, I mean, I can argue a case for and against the abolition of C permits. Now, I built under a C permit, and I think it's safe to say that everybody who built a house built the same house.
Yeah.
Right. In so much as it was the biggest and best they could afford on the day, because it was a forever house.
Yeah.
Right. Because you couldn't build another one. And then the C permit system disappeared. And part of the planning officer's work is looking at how we secure and retain the right size houses for families who live and work on the island. And yes, we want people to move here, but we've got to give them somewhere to live. Now, the work is being looked at and will be part of the land use plan review, I would hope.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is there has been no commercial high density since Brickfields. And, that was a good example of how it can be made to work. But with something like this, it's no good doing it on a piecemeal basis, me applying, you applying. You need to have a developer in on it who can actually build the units. Yeah,
I totally agree with you. But we don't have, we've never had the building developer here. If we look at Guernsey, they have big building companies. We've got one-man bands, right? Unless they all go in together, or somebody comes in and says, I'm going to develop X number of houses in this plot of land. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the grand site was sort of there because they got permission to build whatever those big flats are,
Yeah.
but on the proviso they put social housing
Yes.
at the garden. That's good, but you can't be doing that everywhere.
No.
Um, but until a developer wants to get involved and has the land and gives us, I say us, that's us in inverted commas,
Yeah.
gives us a development plan,
Yeah.
um, we're not going to see any progress on that.
I mean, would you think that Whitegates, for example, is a candidate for high density?
Please don't get me started. Personally, this is my view, not the committee's view.
Okay.
I wouldn't have knocked it down.
Right.
Right, I would have uh, taken it because it's designated for social housing.
Yeah.
So the states hasn't got any money, but they've got land.
Yeah.
So my view would have been to take the Whitegates plot and swap it
Yes.
with another similar sized plot of land,
Yeah.
change the designation, right? So now you've got social housing somewhere else, sorry, a social housing area on another part of the
Yeah.
island. And now you've got Whitegate sitting there with, I think it was 5 houses at the end.
Yeah.
Then you say, this is to put into general building land or whatever it needs, right? And say to local, whichever millionaire wants to develop a plot of land, say, well, you go and knock it down, build what you like, right? Within reason, obviously, right? And ring fence that money that you got from selling the land
Yeah.
to start this building of the social housing in the new plot. That would have been my view. Yes, we gave permission to knock it down because we couldn't not.
Yeah.
You know, we're bound by the law. But in answer to your question, the Housing Working Group is considering options for Whitegates. And as part of the land use plan review, in tandem with the Housing Working Group, a housing needs assessment is being reworked to see what it is we actually need. We don't need 6-bedroom mansions. We need 2-bedroom flats, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
But until we get that back, we don't know what will go on at Whitegates. But I drove past it the other day and they cut the grass. I thought, actually, do you know what? I like that. But
don't blink, it may become common land again.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it does look tidy.
We need to get the assessment done to inform the decisions and the type, size, quantity of housing that we need now and in the future.
What about the old Connell? I mean, if ever a building left itself open for a house in multiple occupation, it wouldn't cost the states that much, surely, to actually do that up, rent it out, get some money in.
I mean, there was a suggestion years ago of selling it to a development company and basically telling them you leave the front as is and do what you like behind it.
Yes, yeah.
Which, on the face of it, makes sense. In addition to the Whitegates conundrum, GSC is embarking on an asset management conditioning survey to review the state of certain state-owned properties.
Yeah.
And that will also help inform future decisions on maintenance, use, and potentially disposal. Right now, as regards a comment at the Connaught, social media posts alongside an article in the journal will tell you the Economic Development Committee is looking at using the Connaught as an education hub. But if you look at the General Service Committee minutes from June, it states that members agreed for the chair to take any possible use forward to the Housing Working Group first to discuss options. So I don't know where we're going with it at the moment because on one side of the story, it's going to be a school, a college, whatever. On the other side, it's going to be X number of flats. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's a long-winded way of saying I don't really know the answer to the question.
For the benefit of our audience who don't live on Alderney, the old Connaught is actually, or rather was, a hotel in a central part of the island, and obviously is fitted out with bedrooms, etc., etc. Right, let's get on to energy ratings for new developments. They're mandatory in the UK. Where are you on it?
Yeah. Um, like I say, they are mandatory. They must meet. I've got to look down at my notes here
Mm.
because I'm not au fait with UK laws. Um, they must meet energy efficiency at design as part of building control. But when a building is built or sold or rented out after that, it needs an energy performance certificate, which actually falls under trading standards.
Yeah.
Right. Here we enforce via building regulations and the Guernsey technical standards, and we look at insulation values and service
Yeah.
efficiencies,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So,
Mm.
but there's no statutory EPC energy performance certificate. Now, if we go back to your last question about a developer coming and developing 20 houses on a plot of land somewhere, a developer can commission an EPC voluntarily, but it'll be for marketing purposes.
Mm.
It's not a legal duty.
But
So
it does
yes,
prove the place is sound in terms of,
yeah,
maximising on the energy used and everything else, doesn't it?
yeah, but but still we fall under Guernsey technical
Yeah.
standards at the moment. So basically, until they, because we follow them,
Yeah.
until they go down that road, we are not stuck, but we're with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
Um,
makes sense if you do it in tandem, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
So
it's something that people will have to come to terms with eventually, I would have thought.
you would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I do believe sometimes that, and this is not to do with this question, but I do sometimes think that the world is a bit too red tape and bureaucratic, but sometimes it's for the right reasons, and this
Mm.
could be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is there any news on the harbour redevelopment plan?
Uh, when the harbour thing came out last
Yeah.
April, was it?
Last year, wasn't
There's a
it?
two. Yeah, I mean, I had to check the date, make sure it wasn't the 1st of April at the time. Um, there's a desire to improve the harbour and the surrounding area, and as far as I'm aware from the civil service, um, a harbour, a new harbour working group has been set up or being established to look at both the commercial and visitor aspects of it. And what I will say is I live down at the end of the Banquage here,
Yeah.
so I have an interest in the sense that I can see where they want to do from my front room window.
Yeah.
I was never questioned as a stakeholder. If they develop it, the value of my house might go up. I don't know.
Who knows? Fingers crossed. Mind you, that's going
Yeah,
to go in the opposite direction to the UK property market at the moment, which seems to be on a bit of a downward slide. But there you go. Now, Guernsey are coming up with a situation where rented properties have to have a minimum standard and landlords have to register. Are you going to follow with that?
oh yes, please. Me personally, yes, please.
Hmm.
Um,
You as the committee, though.
no, me as an individual.
Yeah.
Right, this is not a planning committee thing.
No,
Um,
I'm thinking of the PNF.
it will go through because it's legislation will be involved. It will go through the housing working group, and then it will go to PNF. But the island plan aspiration is we want to increase the 20 to 50-year-old bracket. So we need to increase the provision of the housing for that bracket. So we've got to provide for improved residential properties to explicit standards.
Mm.
Now basic standards are introduced for rented houses to ensure that all those rented properties meet basic requirements, like they're not falling down around your ears and they're not
Mold.
they're free from damp and
Yeah.
they're normally ventilated, and you can cook and clean in there, because presently the private tenanting sector. I mean, you said yourself you own a property that you rent to a local family, right?
Yeah.
Well, you operate relatively free of a legal framework, like any landlord does. And a tenant and a landlord will negotiate terms between themselves,
Yeah.
on a contractual basis, perhaps. And if there's a dispute at any point, you're back in the court that you don't want to be in. right? The court we mentioned before,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
And with no formal guidelines or dispute resolution process, the rights of neither party are clear. I mean, unscrupulous landlords and unscrupulous tenants alike can freely exploit the system
Yeah.
to the detriment of the other. So, minimum standards would be clearly defined. Basically, they would only be there to provide a basic level below which a property's condition would be considered to be harmful to the health and mental well-being of an occupant. Right now, it's been suggested that and I appreciate thank you for pushing the questions or prompts across, but I'm sort of going straight into another answer now.
Okay.
It's been suggested requiring improvements to properties could lead to increases in rents or destabilization of the lower cost rental market. Now, these standards for human habitation are clearly basic, and not providing these, like I said, would be detrimental. So any responsible landlord should already be achieving these standards and should not be concerned that this system will detrimentally affect the financial disrupt the rental market. Now, if I come on holiday on a 2-week break from Guernsey and get a place through one of the local accommodation agencies, estate whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I get the plane, and I walk in the door, and I think I'm gonna have a shower, and the boiler doesn't work. I'll make one phone call, and the plumber will be there before I put the phone down. It may be a case where if you are living in a place that needs having some work done, I find the plumber, he turns up a week on Tuesday. Now, I know that's very glib, but
it happens.
The sort of thing has happened, can happen, will happen again. So if Guernsey have already done the work, right, there's nothing wrong with us copy and pasting it after sort of ordinarifying it, and so it's fit for Alderney. What's fit for Guernsey doesn't necessarily mean it's good here, but making it more simple. So to that end, I actually, and this is where it comes from a personal point of view, I'm almost like the self-appointed social agenda champion on the States. Everybody finds their niche in something, and that is me. As much as I support the people moving here, I want the demographic to change. I want all of that. I can't take my eye off the fact that we've got to look after the people that live here already.
Of course.
So as a result of that, I got the policy letter from Guernsey. Well, it was online, but I got the policy letter, and I chopped and changed it and ripped it about and reduced it to half the size. And then I took it through the housing working group and got agreement, and work is being done. And at some point, it will go forward to policy and finance, and then it'll end up in the States, and I'll be voting yes.
Yeah.
But hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I can see the necessity for it, no doubt about that. But I think some of the properties that are currently rented out, it's going to cost the landlord a fortune to get them into, a really fit, habitable state.
Well, we've got the tourist accommodation. I think it's the tourist accommodation.
Yeah.
I've not got it to hand. Tourist accommodation law. Put a smoke alarm in there. Put a fire extinguisher under the sink. I don't know. The things that you need to rent a property out to me or you going on holiday.
Yeah.
We use some of those bits and feed from that.
For the long-term person.
Yeah.
Who's actually living
there. But the problem is there are people who live in poorly maintained properties, but they're paying maybe a lower rent because that's all they can afford. Now, they're not going to make themselves homeless. They're part of it. So alongside minimum wage, where we give them a couple more quid an hour,
Yeah.
where they might be able to afford something a little. I don't know if we can find the properties to rent out to them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a conundrum.
Yeah. Yeah. But you won't go in there with the sledgehammer.
No,
Softly,
no, no,
softly,
no.
softly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Leasehold reform. It's still very difficult to get a mortgage on the island, if you're buying a lease property, and by that I'm meaning a flat or a house, with 99 years plus or anything like that. Is the states involved in trying to reconcile something with the banks on this?
Yeah, none of us can force a bank to lend money.
No.
Now the leasehold reform is urgently needed because the banks won't lend the money.
Yeah.
So work is underway to review which of Alderney's enactments relating to this matter actually require amendment. Now, advice has been sought from, and this has been informed to me by the Civil Service in the last
Yeah.
couple of days.
Yeah.
Advice has been sought from the Legal Counsel of Lenders, being reviewed by counsel in order to move the matter forward. And I've got to turn over the page because I can't remember what it said.
He's not really reading it, folks. He's pretending.
I am this bit. It's in my bag. So Guernsey have got the horizontal division.
Yeah.
Where I think we used to call them maisonettes in the UK, and where you had the big house and you lived downstairs and I lived upstairs and we were separate mortgages.
Yeah.
So each floor of the house had its own lease. But apparently in 2022, the Housing Working Group here, the then Housing Group, wanted this to apply to all leasehold properties, not just to flats. So P&F has set up a policy direction to progress the matter in the view of affordability. And please don't quote me on this, but I think there might be something coming back to P&F next week. I think.
Okay, well, that's good. We won't quote you on it. The fact that everyone will see it when it's released is neither here nor there. It's strictly between you and me. Now,
and
what about,
stores.
Very quickly, governance reform? No further progress on that.
I chaired the last good governance group.
Yeah.
And my mandate was basically to come up with some ideas. Well, the terms of reference of the group were to come up with some ideas and initiate a debate. We did that, right? Beginning of the year, it was decided to give it back to P&F. So the group itself was disbanded, and we appointed a political lead to take the work forward. Now, the work previously undertaken around executive style government, as everyone thought it was, is still included as part of the work, but there are other options in there as well. A refined committee system, because sometimes a committee system is the best thing around, or a hybrid system which includes some form of executive branches but committee works. Now, as part of that work, a scheme of delegation is being developed as well alongside the civil service or civil service model that would support whichever model of government is taken forward. So once the work has been done, and I personally gave the civil service a lot of stuff because I've got the corporate memory, a lot of stuff to go to help with their workings, and we wait as a state now for something to come back to us so that we can yes, no, maybe.
Yeah. Trouble is, Kevin, though, last year when when the states had the opportunity to synchronise those election dates, they didn't take it, and I think that's made the public very, very wary of the whole thing, and that's a shame.
I won't get involved in the whys, wherefores, who voted for, who voted against.
No.
What it did do was it set the process back, because if we had agreed on that day to move the last elections last November to a 2-year term, because the law says you're elected for 4 years, right? If we changed the law to a 2-year term, we'd all be up for election in 2 years, well, in 18 months now.
Yes, sure, yeah.
At which point, any time between the failed vote and the next election, we could have worked on, well, we only want 7 states members, or only want whatever, right? So that everybody's saying, so me, you, and everybody else wanting to stand in 18 months know that there's only going to be 6, 7, 8 of you, whatever the number is at the end, 8 of you, and you've all got 4 years and you get elected en masse. You know, yes, personally, I think we missed a trick. I was actually of the view that it was going to go through.
Yeah, well, I think everyone did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, these things happen. Everyone's allowed to vote the way they do. And that's that.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm not going to call that a vote.
But it's all about public confidence, isn't it? And so when that
Yes.
happens, the public have no confidence. And unfortunately, they treat politicians with disdain. And we see that here, we see that in Guernsey, we see it in the UK. You know, the political class, I'm afraid, doesn't do itself much in the way of favours, but there we are. Moving on, because we're into countdown time, I'm afraid. Okay. Scrutiny. Why do the PNF why don't they want questions actually asked at states meetings? Because surely questions should be aired in public.
I don't think that's true. It's not they don't want asked, right?
Okay.
They do ask, but I think they should be reasonable ones, you know, not those purely based on committee matters. That they should focus more on legislation, states matters, wider stuff. You know, are we getting total pay? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? As opposed to picking the nitty gritty out of something that's in the committee minutes. And in fact, the person asking the question and everybody else in the room knows the answer. That's a waste of your time, my time, waste of civil service time.
But it's transparent. It is transparent for the public.
It's transparent. So if we were able to bring forward as part of the government governance reform something along the lines of something I took to PNF a couple of years ago, the give way law, give way rule, and link that with bringing a lot more debate out of the Anne French room into the chamber.
Yes.
Then things would be a lot better, and you wouldn't see something because you'd see the debate in action. Now, it's not for me to ordinarily mention a particular states member, but we did have a states member, Louis Jean, right, who was known for saying, take it upstairs, take it to the states, take it to the states, right? I applauded him every time.
Me too.
Right? Things should go to the states, right? You want to spend your money, take it to the states. You want to do this, take it to the states. You want to decide whether you can do this or that, take it to the states. It shouldn't all be done within the confines of the Anne French room. That said, we did open up PNF for 6 months and nobody came. You know, they could have seen it. They could have seen us not doing a lot in public.
Right.
You know.
It's all these things are perception, aren't they? Really.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, a few quickies because we're running out of time. Number one, is the estates of Alderney still going to contribute £3 million to the airport?
Well, the resolution for the 3 million is still extant, but that's tied to C+.
Yeah. And we're not on C+ anymore, are we?
We're not on C+. So any future contribution will depend entirely upon costings.
Yeah.
But no, the 3 million was C+ and nothing else.
Okay. Road resurfacing. I see you've applied for planning permission for the asphalt plant.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the application yet. We don't see the.
Yes, okay, I'm aware. I mean, the fact that works
about it.
The fact the work started. Anyway, I'm not complaining. We want the roads fixed. It's as simple as that. Yeah. But the point that I wanted to try and make was, will that asphalt plant be a permanent fixture like the one was at the Arsenal?
No. A press release went out end of last week, I think it was, trying to inform the community on the roads resurfacing programme and the asphalt plant at Monet in particular. It's up now. It's ready for work. The crane has now gone back. They bought a crane in to put it together, and then the crane went away at the weekend. So weather allowing, they're going to start work imminently. Yeah. It's a 5-year program overall, and I think it was 1 point something million. I know we voted for it.
Yeah.
It falls under GSC, so they'll decide how best to utilise the money available. But it may mean one or two more visits by Rone at some point, perhaps 10 more weeks of work in that time. I don't know. But the plant is mobile,
Yeah.
and Rone will be using it elsewhere in the Channel Islands if necessary. So, no, it's not permanent. You might see the crane come back, take it apart, and
Yeah.
take it away, and then bring it
Okay.
back.
Okay. Right. Next one. Swimming pool. Any news on that?
Uh, a lease was produced for the they're called Alderney Swimming Community
Yeah.
Pool, Alderney Swimming Pool Community Trust to run the pool with the bladder, and it had risk mitigation measures, including an initial 10-year lease. Given that it's common knowledge that the concrete construction is a bit flawed and limited in life, but the trusts were unable to commit to this. So the Alderney Sports Foundation proposed an alternative solution, uh, with the states having to take on responsibility for its completion. Now, before any decision on investment is taken, we need to go and get a surveyor, get him on board, determine the scale and cost of works involved, and that's, I think, where we currently are. But does the swimming pool does it fall into want or need? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Fair enough. That's something we can talk about at some future day. And finally, should states members publish articles where it appears that some of the evidence used hasn't been corroborated?
if you put it in black and white, it's there forever.
Yeah.
Um, Now, from an official standpoint, we have a very able, capable civil service to fact check and ensure that nothing erroneous is put out into the public domain. Um, we have committee minutes, we have people's meetings, we've got the open
Yeah.
forum, we
Yeah.
have press releases. All of those ensure that what is said is true. If a did you say states member? If a states member wishes to publish an article, then as long as they are to stress that it is their own personal view and not the view of any committee,
Yeah. That's
um,
okay.
yeah, because I mean, I can only speak from the BDCC
Yeah.
side, right? If a member of my committee wants to post something on Facebook or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They will do it. I will stress to them that you do it this off your own back, and you tell them you've not got the backing of the chair and the committee because we've not talked about this. But
Sorry to have to
go ahead.
say, sir, we're out of time.
Okay.
But it's been a great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for sparing me time. I'll be putting this out on Friday. Thank you, Kev.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Tony.